receivers and using the dual channel GPS for TEC measurements, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I believe that this thing that Michael is testing for the guy in Austin is essentially a TEC. As best I've been able to find anything about, that's just TEC that project's doing. And what was it? The
SynPy?
SynPy, yeah.
Yeah.
It sure sounds like that's what it's all about.
It's not just TEC, it's a scintillation index.
Okay. Sounds very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it just depends on how much how funding is for these things.
So, Nathaniel,
Yes.
break in here. We just got Phil Karn pop in.
Hello.
And I would
Hi, Bill.
like you to summarize.
Rob's here too.
Yeah, well, Rob watched our discussion just a minute ago, but I'd like you to summarize what we've been talking about for Phil.
Sure, Dave. So what we were talking about, Phil, is trying to figure out the next iteration of hardware of a radio that Tapper would produce. And as you know, the Tangerine SDR project did not pan out well. And Scotty wrote and was granted an ARDC grant a couple of years ago to develop a Tangerine Mark II that was even before the Tangerine Mark I was done. And so I understand that those funds are still in Tapper. Tapper still has the majority of those funds available. And so what we were proposing to do was instead of coming up with the Tangerine Mark II, we wanted to develop a new RX888 inspired Tapper radio. And we were going to try to come up with a new set of requirements and a new proposal to say, what this would actually look like. And once we fleshed out those details, we'd make sure that the Tapper board approved it, and then we'd have them go back to ARDC and ask if they could use those Tangerine Mark II funds to develop this thing instead.
Okay.
So what we're discussing right now is...
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, so we're basically discussing now what the specifications and the requirements of this new system would be, and kind of starting from scratch to develop a new plan.
But also picking some of the better parts that we've already built.
I would like to suggest, if it means anything, may or may not matter much, but that if we are really going to do a new spec here, that we look at it in terms of being a radio built for running KA9Q radio.
Yes.
If there's anything that KA9Q radio can use, we want to be sure and make that available. That's probably something just to think about. Not because I know of anything that's out there wanting to be done, but if the whole system is